Are animals aware? Your dog knows you're sad before you do. Not in a metaphorical sense, in a measurable one. Studies tracking cortisol levels in domestic dogs show their stress hormones rise in synchrony with their owners, not after being told, not after being shown, but in anticipation. The body responds before the signal arrives. Something is being read. The question scientists have circled for decades is deceptively simple. Is there something it is like to be an animal? Not whether animals behave intelligently, they do. Not whether they respond to pain, they do. But whether there is an interior, a felt experience, a light on inside. The word for this is consciousness, and scientists are careful with that word. The problem is almost philosophical before it's biological. Consciousness leaves no fossil record. It doesn't show up cleanly on an fMRI. When a crow solves a multi-step puzzle, bending wire into a hook to retrieve food from a tube, which New Caledonian crows do reliably, you cannot extract from that behavior whether the crow experiences solving it or whether it simply solves. The data shows the action. It cannot reach the inside, and yet the data keeps accumulating in one direction. In 2012, a group of prominent neuroscientists signed what became known as the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. The signatories, including Stephen Hawking as a witness, stated formally that non-human animals possess the neurological substrates for conscious experience, not higher mammals only. Birds, octopuses. The declaration didn't prove interior experience, but it said the architecture is there. So when an elephant stands over the bones of a dead herd member for hours, sometimes days, touching the skull with its trunk, returning across years to the same site, it doesn't read as instinct, it reads as memory that hurts. That reframe matters, because the default assumption has long been projection. Humans seeing themselves in animals, importing emotion where there is only mechanism. And that assumption protected a lot of industries and a lot of practices for a long time, but the neurological evidence is harder to dismiss now. Elephants have spindle neurons, the same cells associated with social awareness and empathy in humans, in densities that rival our own. In 2016, researchers at the University of Pisa published findings on crayfish. Crayfish, when placed in environments that induced anxiety-like states, their serotonin levels shifted in ways structurally parallel to anxious humans. When given compounds that reduce anxiety in humans, the behavior resolved. The experiment was not designed to prove that crayfish suffer, but it could not rule it out. And then something shifts in how you look at a tank in a restaurant. The honest limit of the science is this: we have one confirmed case of consciousness and we are it. Everything else is inference from structure, from behavior, from chemical analogy. The octopus that changes color in its sleep, cycling through patterns, flickering as if dreaming, maybe processing something, maybe experiencing something. The word may is doing real work there, and the researchers who study this are the first to say so. What evolution suggests is that awareness didn't appear suddenly in humans like a light switched on. It gradated, it distributed. Creatures with simpler nervous systems may have simpler versions of the thing we call experience. Not absent, not equivalent, but somewhere on a continuum that we drew a line across mostly for our own convenience. The line keeps moving. What we are really asking, when we ask if animals are aware, is whether the universe is full of experience or whether it produced experience once in us as an accident. Whether the dog watching the door for your return is waiting in the dark or waiting in something that feels dimly and differently like hope. The data cannot settle that, but it keeps asking the question louder.